Hello everybody, it's Mindful Monday, February 20th, 2017. Or maybe you're in a different part of the world and it's already tomorrow, it's the 21st, I don't know. Or maybe you're watching this at a later date. So I'm just going to wait maybe a moment or so to settle in myself. Maybe some people will be joining us, I don't know. So just today, I just invite you to, first before we get started, is to just begin to notice how you are feeling right in this moment. Right now for me, I'm gonna be honest, I feel a little bit of stress in my neck. I feel maybe a little bit of tightness in my chest. But I feel pretty present at the same time. And so I invite you to take a look at that first before we start, because throughout your day, we start feeling these uncomfortable emotions, right? Or maybe certain things in our bodies, right? So today I'm going to teach you some techniques that you can do without you having to sit and meditate wherever you are. And I'm also going to share with you, our normal weekly practice. So with that being said, whether or not you're joining us live or if you're watching this later on, that's perfectly okay. I invite you to just sit wherever you are. I'm going to wait maybe a moment or so to see if anyone else is able to join us. But in the meantime, yeah, it's funny because it's been warm, but it's a little chilly in the house. Wonderful. Okay, so we have some people joining us now. Excellent. So we're going to start with our practice today, and then, like I said before, we're going to I'm going to teach you some things to bring out into the world, because sometimes we get really, really stressed and we can't always sit and close our eyes and meditate, and sometimes that's great, but sometimes we can't. Awesome! I love that my family's here. Hi! Anne, Arlene, Michelle, and Sophia. Yay! Awesome. So if you guys whoever is watching us, we're going to do some meditation tonight. Like we always do. And like I said, and Sam and Mike, woohoo! I love it. My whole family's here. Awesome. Hi, Benny. Hi. Awesome. Okay, so guys, wherever you are, I'm going to ask you to sit, because we're going to be doing meditation, right? I'm going to ask that wherever you are is to find as quiet a space as possible. Or maybe if you just want to listen along, that's perfectly fine too. But I find it best, like when we practice, we can actually learn to take what we've practiced and our insights into our day, in addition to the techniques that I'm showing you. Okay? Okay. So right now I'm sitting on the floor. You can sit in a chair or a cushion. If you feel okay to lie down, go ahead and lie down. That's awesome. And just close your eyes and begin to settle in. And when I say settle in, that just means if you feel like you have to move a little bit, just begin to move your body, right? And so the way that we often start is by clinking these two bells together. These are called tingshas. And so when I clink them together, with your eyes closed, or maybe with your eyes slightly open, but focus on a point a few inches in front of you, see how long you can bring your concentration to the sound. And if your mind wanders, that's fine, because you have a brain, it's going to keep moving. And the point of this practice is just to be aware of when that happens, without judgment, without saying, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. What's wrong with you? And instead say, okay, let's bring it back to the sound. So I'll ring this a few times. So the first time, just first notice like how you're feeling right now. Notice if you feel stressed in any places, or if you feel like you feel like maybe you're a little upset, or maybe you feel really happy and you feel really light, whatever that might be. And just close your eyes and focus on the sound. we do it again. And just take a moment to notice if your mind wandered, if it didn't. That's fine either way. Just take a moment to notice how your whole body's feeling right now. Notice if there was any shift that just happened simply by focusing your attention on the sound. And then come to the breath and begin to notice the breath. I'll join with you. I always like to join with you guys. Hi, Shmuel. Nice that you can join us. Okay. So with your eyes closed, begin to just notice if there was any shifting after the sound of the bells. And then just begin to notice the breath. And when I say notice the breath, what I mean is, do you notice if the breath is shallow, like in your chest? Is it expanding into the rib cage? Is it expanding into the belly? And you don't need to change anything. But just become aware of how the breath is moving through your body. And then I always like to invite you to notice one point, one pinpoint where you can focus on your breath. So maybe that's the sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nose. Or maybe that's the expanding of the belly and the contracting of the belly. Just begin to notice a point where you can bring your attention of the breath. And the breath is really important because the breath is what we call an anchor. So what happens is often our minds will go to the past. Sometimes our minds will go into the future. And that's often where we will find the most stress and anxiety, worrying about what happened in the past or what might happen in the future. So when we use the breath is happening now. It didn't happen before. It's not going to happen soon. But it's happening right now. And so when we notice that our mind is wandering away from the breath, we gently and lovingly bring it back to the breath, just like we did with the sound of the bell. So if our mind wanders, and this is what I spoke about last week, our mind is like the heart. It's not going to stop. The point of meditation isn't to stop the brain and the mind from thinking, but rather to give spacious awareness to what's happening and to then gently bring it back to the present. So that's why we use the breath. And one way we can use the breath, if we're having a hard time concentrating, is actually to count. And that's what we're going to do today. So using numbers to count. So inhaling 1, exhaling 2, inhaling 3, exhaling 4, and then in and out all the way to 10. And if you begin to notice that your mind is wandering, just gently say, okay, my mind's wandering, and then you start over again from 1. And you know what happens sometimes is our mind goes on to like the laundry list of things. So we might end up to like 15 and say, oh, I forgot to stop counting. Or maybe your mind went somewhere else completely and you forgot that you were counting. So what will happen is that thoughts were going to happen. We're not going to stop the thoughts. But when we practice this way of counting our breath, we notice that the thoughts kind of become the background noise and counting the breath becomes more of the foreground. So let's do that. Let's practice that together. I'll do the first round with you and count out loud. And then I invite you for the next few minutes, maybe I'll give us about maybe 2 minutes after that to practice counting, inhaling 1, exhaling 2, and so on up until 10. And again, if your mind wanders, without judgment, without saying this is bad, or maybe this is good, gently bring it back to the self. And if you notice yourself labeling it as good or bad, just notice what that feels like to label something bad, right? Does that feel weird or bad in your body, right? Does it feel tension, like tension in your body? Just bring awareness to all these things. Okay, so let's settle in one more time. I know I've been talking for a little while, but now the practice begins. And so someone just told me this recently, but a really great way to remember a nice posture is a strong back and a soft front. So meaning relax the belly and yet sit up straight. And if you need something behind you to hold you up, that's what I'm doing. I have the couch behind me to hold me up. Go for it. Okay, and so now I invite you to close your eyes. And again, bringing the awareness back to the breath. And on your next inhale, we begin with 1. Exhale 2. Inhale 3. Exhale 4. Inhale 5. Exhale 6. Inhale 7. Exhale 8. Inhale 9. Exhale 10. And then we begin again at 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And starting again, I invite you to begin to count this on your own. I'll give you about 2 minutes to just experience inhaling 1, exhaling 2. invite you to simply begin to bring the counting to an end. And before you open your eyes, just begin to notice, starting from the crown of your head, your face, your neck, your shoulders, your back, your chest, your abdomen, your hips, your groin, your legs, your knees, your shins, your calves, your ankles, and your feet. And just begin to notice if there's been any kind of shift in how it feels, how the body feels, how the muscles feel. And for me, I'm starting to notice, and I shared this at the beginning, that my neck was feeling really tense, my shoulders were feeling tense. It's feeling a little bit crowded, like in the way that my thinking was when we first started. And for me right now, my neck feels a little bit less tense. My chest feels less tense. I feel some more evenness in the way that I'm thinking right now. I don't feel like I'm in the most beautiful, blissful state, but I feel much more present and grounded. I feel much more at ease. So I invite you to just take a moment to notice how you're feeling after just practicing from the breathing. Maybe for you, you don't feel a difference at all, or maybe it's like a really slight difference. Whatever it is, allow the entire experience to simply happen. And if you notice yourself wanting to push it away or saying it's bad, lovingly tell this thought or this feeling, it's okay, I got you. I got you. And one last time, before we close this practice out, I'll ring the Tingsha bells for you, which signifies the end of this practice. And just slowly begin to awaken. Maybe stretch your hands, stretch up and move back and forth. Maybe yawn. Sometimes I like to yawn after a practice. It feels really nice. Oh, now I want to yawn. So I'm going to just take a few minutes to just share with you guys some tips that you can take with you into your day to just help bring more ease and less stress throughout your day if you notice yourself going into anxiety mode or stress mode. And in the meantime, also, if you have any questions you have for me, or if you want to share your experience with us here, by all means, type it away, and I'd love to share in that experience with you and to celebrate this experience with you. And I'll get back to that then, but here's some tips I think that might be really great for the day. So one is that practice that we just had. So if you can step out of wherever you are, even for just 30 seconds, maybe you can say, excuse me, I have to go to the bathroom, or just step outside. Take a minute to first feel your feet, feel gravity pulling you down. Feel your feet on the ground. And then practice that counting. Inhale 1, exhale 2. And that, even in just 30 seconds, can really give you a quick shift in the way that you're thinking and to change the experience you're having, or even the conversation you're having, right? Because sometimes we can get into really, really tough situations and really tough conversations. So that's one thing you can do. If you can't go out of your way and go to the bathroom, I shared this, I think, a while ago, but I don't think it was on a Mindful Monday, is you can do something that's someone taught me called Take 5. Which is, you take your hand, you can do it on both sides if you want. You take your index finger at the base of the hand, And then use your breath to go up one finger and down. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You can do that a few times or just once. You can do it like under the table if you're at a meeting. You can do that under the table, right? People can, so that way if you don't want people seeing you doing that, that's fine. For me, that kind of brings me back to the moment. I'm like, oh yeah, I have hands. And I just want to share that one time when I was younger, I had a panic attack, and I remember I couldn't feel my arm. Like, it was that bad, my panic attack. And so what's interesting is when I get really stressed now, like that I learned this much later on, but if I start noticing myself going into a little bit of a panic or like going into the future, I actually will start doing this and just taking a deep breath, and it brings me back to the moment, which is a really great thing for me to do. And then one more thing that you can do is, I mentioned this before, is to just take a moment and stand for maybe like 30 seconds to a minute. And again, just notice your feet touching the ground. And notice what it feels like to have gravity actually pulling your feet down. What does it feel like to have gravity pulling your feet down? And notice what it feels like to have your feet, like whether it's in a shoe or not, just noticing what it feels like to move your feet around in your shoe or barefoot or in your socks on the ground. Excuse me. And just notice that. And so those are just a few different tips that you can do if you don't have a moment for a formal practice like this to help de-stress. And that is the end of this week's Mindful Monday. So again, if you guys have any questions, I see some people were commenting things. I didn't have a chance. Hi everyone, hi. Yes, Carla, Rue was there. My cat sometimes likes to stick her face in my camera. That's what happens. That's what cats do. All right, everybody. I will see you next week. If you want to share what you experienced, please message me. You can, again, comment below. I'm always here to answer your questions. If I don't get back to you right away, I promise I will get back to you soon. All right, everyone, have a beautiful Mindful Monday, a great start to your week, and I will see you soon. Bye.